Okay, today we're going to talk about investment mix. And this one I got from Master Artisan, but I got it at the 2019 Glass Expo. But if you want to make your own, you can. It's a 50-50 mix of plaster of Paris and silica flour. Might be a little hard to get in small quantities, so that's why it was convenient to buy this from them. Sometimes you have to buy it in giant 50-pound bags. But you can use it for many things. You can use it to make slumping molds, and because of silica flour, it will last, at least one or more firings, but it's pretty sturdy because of the silica flour in there. If you just use plaster of Paris, it could easily fall apart. You can also use it to make tiny slumping molds, and we'll talk about that today. So let's talk about the best mold for it, and then we'll mix some up. So the best type of mold are these sort of rubbery silicone molds. So this one that I've already done is one of these sort of polymer clay molds, and they are all little faces. See those little faces? And what's nice is after about 24 hours, they just pop out. And if you don't want them this deep, you can shave them down. Like this one's a little deep. I don't know if you can see that. See how thick that is? I wouldn't necessarily want to slump over something so deep. I like these ones that are a little more shallow. But see how easily they pop out. And that's because I'm able to push from the back and pop them out. Now, I just did them all because I had enough of the investment mix. Now this one is used for, I guess clay. Probably clay. You could use it for silicone, but it's more of a ceramic type mold, and I am not getting that out. I have been chipping with a knife to get that out. So that is not the best type of mold. And Dennis told me that, and I still wanted to try it because I'm like that. All right, I've taken some of the investment mix and put it in this little glass jar. I've got a little silicone spatula, and I'm going to add some water. And I want it to be sort of like runny pancake mix. You don't want to add too much at the beginning, but if you have, you can always add more investment mix. So I'm going to put a little more in. I was a little heavy-handed on the water. I don't want any lumps, but I want to be able to pour it. And that will keep me from getting bubbles in my little piece that I make. All right, that looks nice and creamy. See how kind of runny it is? Perfect. If you fill it too full, that's not a problem. You can scoop it right off. So I'm going to do my best to get the bubbles out. Always have extra molds ready to use up the extra. Now we want to tap it, get the bubbles out. See those bubbles popping up there? All right, that one's done. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. Of course, we'll make a honey bunny. I've got this interesting silicone mold. You see it's sort of flexible there. I'm going to see what I can do with that. Okay, so these are the pieces we have made. We'll come back when they're dry. So I've rearranged them a little bit so you can see the difference in this. The new ones that are kind of darker, they have a lot of moisture in them, and these that are about a day old. They've been out of the mold, several hours, so the water's been allowed to evaporate. Okay, so what I've got here is some mica from KaiserGlass.com, and I've got one of the larger faces with 2 pieces of clear glass, and one of the smaller faces with 1 piece of glass. So we're going to see the difference on that. What I'm going to do is put the gold mica between the 2 layers of glass. And you can paint it on, or you can sift it on with a little sifter. You'll get a lot more even coat if you sift it. I'm going to put this in the kiln. Just like that. For this one I'm going to use the blue. Now it won't turn out blue. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know it doesn't turn out blue. And what I'm hoping is that this mica will transfer to this as it's slumping over this mold. This little investment mold. And these will be some test pieces before I start doing the other pieces. So I'm going to put this on top of that and put this in the kiln and let it slump over that. And we'll see what happens. We'll come back in a little bit. Okay, while the camera was off, I came up with this idea. And so you guys are going to follow along with me and we'll see how it turns out together. I cut a circle out of irid. Can you see that iridized glass right there? And I cut a circle out of clear. And what I've done is I had enough of these faces that I needed 2 more. So I made 2 more little faces. They're drying right now, so I need to wait until they're fully dried to do this. But then I'm going to put it in the kiln with the clear circle on top. Well, technically on the bottom, but it'll be on top of the little faces. And then I am going to put the irid on top of it, and I'm going to take it to a full fuse because I want it to really slump over those faces, and I might make a clock out of it. So stay tuned, let's see what happens. Okay, I decided that this top face, this one up here, was just too much different than the rest. It was very deep. So I went and got this sanding block, but all I did was start sanding it back and forth, and it's giving it, you know, a little better depth. I want it similar to the rest of these, and they're all pretty shallow. I don't mind it being deeper, I just don't want it as deep as it was. So I just wanted to show you, that's one way to reduce the depth of them. Okay, so let's try and wrap things up. The problem I found with investment mix is I came up with too many ideas. That was my biggest problem. I kept coming up with ideas, and so ultimately I'm sure this video was much longer than you hoped or I had planned. So let's just kind of wrap it up and see what we learned from it. First off, remember, don't use those ceramic type molds. You want silicone, rubbery type molds. I have chipped away 2 of these after soaking it for about 24 hours. That kind of helped, but I still need to chip it away without damaging my mold. So don't use these. That doesn't come out, not very easily. Let's see. I learned from this, I wasn't thrilled with the way that came out with the 2 layers and the mica in between, but I do like this. I think this could be salvaged, but I definitely learned from making that piece. This one was that single layer with the, what was that, mica? I think it was the blue mica. You guys remember, it was only a minute ago. For me, it was a long time ago, a couple days ago, that I think it was blue mica. And still came out kind of cool. I like it, but that's what led me to this one. And remember, this was all the little faces that I put around in a circle, and I did it on iridized. So all the little faces are still usable. I can use them again. That investment mix stuff is pretty strong. So what I've done here is kind of made kind of a clock. So I could drill a hole, put the, hands in there and have a little clock. But it doesn't have to be done with these little faces. I mean, it could be anything that you've made. I could have put, skulls in there, made a bigger clock and done these skulls. You can do flowers. You could do, what did I have? Those teddy bears. You could do teddy bears. You can do the wine bottles. But, whatever. You can make a clock out of it or just a sculpture piece. But I think that turned out pretty cool. I like the definition that I got. And remember, that was 2 layers of glass to almost a full fuse. I did it to 1440 for 10 minutes, and that's in Fahrenheit. So I'll put the Celsius number down here for you. Okay, so that was a pretty successful piece after I learned what I did right and wrong with these, right? So then I did this little teddy bear and this, oops, excuse me, and this little heart. And what I thought would be cool with those, see the teddy bear pops out. I've got a pretty good impression of the teddy bear. The heart pops out, got a pretty good impression of the heart. And I thought, you know, I can put maybe some dichro behind it. See how pretty that can be? I could put a pattern dichro. Oh, I should clean it out. So I would need to clean it out a little better, but you know, I could put a dichro behind it and glue that down using either E6000 or 2-part epoxy. But then I thought I could add things to it. So I've got all these little beads here. So maybe the teddy bear, I put a little heart bead in there. So he's got a little heart floating around in there. So that's kind of cute. I could put more than one bead. I could put the stars. I've got these little stars. I could put those in there if you wanted little stars floating around. Let's see. If I did something like this, that's really pretty. And I've got these little charms that have their little key. So it could be the key to your heart. And glue it together. Now this is a scrap piece of dichro, so it doesn't have any dichro coating on that corner. I'd want to use a better piece. But just to give you an idea, see, you could have the key to my heart. I think that's pretty cool. I like that one a lot. Put the teddy on here with a little heart maybe. But I mean, there's so many beads to pick from. You know, you can pick your favorite bead, pick your favorite backing. It might not be dichro. Maybe it's just a colored glass backing. Like this one. I took this one and remember I slumped it over that sort of silicone jewelry mold and, you know, made this out of the investment and slumped this over it. Well, then I took a piece of spring green in the Bullseye World, I believe that's number 126, and I just fire polished it. So this was on the kiln shelf, this was on top. See how shiny, let's see how shiny that is? So what I would probably do is turn this over and glue this to this. Now I've got this great backing, and that way it's smooth on the back, right? And it's got that nice color, but it's got that nice definition from the mold. Then I took a piece of dichro and I full fused that to get a nice oval piece to fit in the middle. So just another option. I mean, there's just so many options. It was hard for me to, you know, narrow down what I wanted to do, but I was learning a lot from it. What I could do with investment mix, and I'm sure this is not even close to all the things you can do. It was just some of the things I was playing with to give you an idea of what you can do with investment mix. So look into that. If it's something that interests you, look into that. And remember, don't use the ceramic molds. Use the rubber type mold so you can pop it out and wait until it dries so they don't break. Wait until it really dries in there, about 24 hours. Okay, I think that about covers investment mix. It was very interesting and a lot of fun to play with, so I hope you got some good ideas from it. Thanks for joining me. Be cool, honey bunnies. Bye.